Hello, geometry students. Welcome to our very first video lesson of the year. This is the video lesson for assignment 1.1. Speaking of the assignment, do you have your assignment in front of you ready to take notes and work through some of the problems together? If not, you need to hit pause, go get your assignment, and then come back and we'll work through some of the problems. And I'll give you some important information that you also need to write down on your notes. All right, I'll give you a chance to do that now. Okay, so if you're continuing watching, you're telling me that you are ready to take some additional notes over assignment 1.1 and that you're ready to work through some problems together. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to make myself smaller and we're going to look at the assignment together and we're going to go over some of the definitions. All right, so let me move myself up here into this corner. All right, so guys, if you see what we've got is we have some vocabulary that we need to take care of. Now, in this vocabulary, okay, I may write down some extra stuff that you need to also write down on the notes section, which is this very first page or pages of your assignment. Okay, so first of all, undefined terms. Points, lines, and planes are considered undefined terms because they do not have a formal definition. And, ladies and gentlemen, okay, another thing about undefined terms is that, okay, you cannot measure, okay, any of these terms, okay? You cannot measure how big is a point, how small is a point. You cannot measure how long is a line because it goes on for infinity. Same thing with planes, they go on for infinity. So, points, lines, and planes, the undefined terms, you cannot measure those. Okay, let's move on down and let's go talk about, okay, what specifically is a point and how do I name it and how do I draw it? Okay, so again, a point has no dimension, right? And it represents a location, a point in space. Guys, you've used GPS on your phone or you've seen GPS and there's a little dot that indicates where you are, or maybe it's a little pin drop on Google Maps or Apple Maps, whatever it is you might use, right? Okay, now, the important thing in geometry, how is a point named? Okay, a point is named with an uppercase letter, and you guys will see that right here. So, the name of this point, okay, is, if I were to write it out, it would be point P. That is how I would name it. Again, an uppercase letter, and it has, notice guys, it has that little dot that represents that is the location of point P. Okay, now, lines. You guys have dealt with lines before. You guys dealt with them in algebra, right? Line on a graph, okay? It goes on forever in both directions. It's drawn with an arrow at both ends. Now, this is important because, ladies and gentlemen, when we name a line, okay, there's two ways. First of all, right here, we can use any points, any 2 points on the line because it only takes 2 points to make a line. So I can name this, I can say line ST, or I can say line TS, but watch, I can also use a symbol instead of writing out the word line. But notice the symbol right here, okay, that is line ST and line TS. The symbol has the arrow on both ends. That is important. If you leave off the arrow on both ends, it's going to be something totally different. Okay? Now, another way that you can name a line is using a lowercase script letter that's at the end of the line. So if you guys see right here, that letter N is in script. That is the lowercase script letter, so we would name that line N, and that would encompass anything on that line, okay? All right, now some of this, like I said, is review for you guys, okay? Some of it not so much, but hopefully you're taking extra notes. Hit rewind if you need to, watch it again. All right, a plane. A plane goes on and on and on forever. And guys, no, not an airplane. A plane, okay, is a flat surface, okay, a flat surface. Now, how do we draw it? We draw it, okay, by doing a parallelogram. We draw what looks like a parallelogram, okay? And how do we name it? Now, how a plane is named. So typically when we talk about a plane in geometry, we're going to talk about the plane of the space that we're dealing with. Like right now, a plane that's in front of me is my table. The top of the table is considered part of a plane. Okay? All right, now, when you name a plane, you use any 3 points not on the same line. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that part is very important. Any 3 points not on the same line. Okay? So, in this particular case, I could name it plane ABC, plane BAC, or plane CBA. Because if you guys will notice, let me get my little drawn out here. I've got A, B, and C over here. But do you notice, guys, how that makes, there's 3 points there. It kind of looks like they make a triangle, right? Well, I like to refer to it as this. It's a tripod. All 3 of those points, we could put the legs of a tripod on all 3 of those points and the tripod would stand up. Okay, so that's how we would name it. And you can name it in any order. It doesn't matter what order you put the points. Me, I like to put them in alphabetical order. Okay, now, there's another way, guys, that we can name this. Okay, we can also name it using an uppercase script letter. Now, that was different than a line. Remember, a line is a lowercase. A plane is an uppercase script letter. And in this case, it is P. So we would write out the word plane, P. That's another way that we can name that plane. Now, notice there's no symbols on or above the letters for the plane. It's just the letters that are not on 3 points, that are not on the same line. And that's what this particular thing means right here. Non-collinear points. Guys, that is the same thing as 3 points not on the same line. Non-collinear. Okay? Because what we're going to see down here is that collinear means that points are on the same line. Non means not, right? Okay, let's think about this English. Co means together. Linear means a line. So collinear, they're all together on the same line. Okay, well, then what about coplanar? Okay, well, let's think about co means together. Planar, that would mean that they're all on the same plane. Okay, 3 points on the same plane. And yes, guys, you can have points that are not on the same plane. I'll show you that here in just a second. Okay, let's go to page 2 and take a look at that vocabulary. Okay, this is page 2 of assignment 1.1. Okay, now we're still going over some vocabulary terms, some of which, guys, you've already heard these, right? But now we're going to look at exactly how do we name them and how are they drawn. So, line segment. Hey guys, a line segment is only part of a line. If I wanted to, I could continue drawing this line out. There's the arrows, okay? But the part that is actually the line segment is right here. It is only part of the line. Okay, so I'm going to erase this. Okay, and we're going to go back and we're going to look at how do we draw it. Notice that, okay, it has an end point, which is represented by the dot at both ends. Okay, and how do we name this line segment? Well, we name it using at least 2 points. Okay, well, we have line segment CD, right? Line segment CD, or we could say line segment DC. It doesn't matter which order we'd go in. But we can also use a symbol, which, guys, you're going to see this symbol a lot this year, right here. Okay, if it's a line segment, it is simply a straight line over the top of the 2 letters. So the first one is line segment CD. The second one is line segment DC. Now, again, if you leave off the symbol, it could be something totally different. Okay, all right. Now, a ray. Most of you have heard of a ray before, right? A ray of sunshine, right? Well, a ray goes on forever in only one direction. So if it's a ray of sunshine, it originates at the sun and then it goes on forever throughout the universe. Okay, How do we draw it? Well, a ray has an endpoint at one end, which would be over here. Point A is our endpoint. And it has an arrow on one end, which is right over here. This shows that this ray originates at point A, goes through point C, and then continues on through point B and goes on forever and ever and ever. Now, how is this ray named? Okay, so this is the important part, because earlier, remember I told you guys with line segments and with planes and with lines, it doesn't matter the order. But in a ray, and guys, you're going to want to make note of this, the order of the points matters. Okay, so the order of the points matters. Okay, and I'm writing this down for you guys so that you can write it down on your notes as well. The order of the points matters because the very first letter is always the end point. Okay, and it says you're going to use the endpoint and any other point on that ray. So over here, I'm going to start with A because that's my endpoint. I could name it ray A, B because it goes through point B, or I could name it ray A, C because it also goes through point C and just keeps on going on and on and on forever. So notice, guys, the symbol right here. Notice that symbol, okay? That symbol has the arrow only on one side of the line, okay? That's because it goes on and on and on forever. So again, and I'm going to stress this again, okay? The order of the letters matter. So if I go down and I look, okay? If I go down and I look underneath here, this, I'm going to call this ray number 1 and this ray number 2 right here. Those are two different, totally different rays. Because ray 1 starts at point A, but ray 2 starts at point B. So they're completely different rays. Okay? They're going different directions. Okay? So make sure that you use the endpoint first and then any other point that the ray goes through. Okay, let's go on. Okay, and let's talk about opposite rays. Now, I just talked about directions of rays. So let's talk about, well, what are opposite rays? Well, guys, opposite rays literally mean that. It means that they go different directions, exactly 180 degrees from each other. Now, what is important about this is that opposite rays are two rays that share a common endpoint. Okay, they form a straight line, which, remember, a straight line is 180 degrees. Most of you remember that from learning about geometry before. Now, notice the direction and how we're naming these. This says ray QP. That means it starts at Q and it goes out through P and goes on and on and on forever. That's how that first ray is named. Now, the second one is ray QR. So that means it starts at Q and it goes out through R and goes on and on and on and on forever. So if you guys notice what I did just there, where I highlighted those lines, or those rays, guys, I just made a 180 degree line, okay? So these are called opposite rays. All right, now, the last thing that we're going to talk about on this page is intersection points. All right, so when we talk about intersection, guys, you see intersections on the maps and the GPS units and all that, right? Okay, so the intersection of two lines is a point. The intersection of two roads, like where Stacy and let's call Angel Parkway coming together, if you were to see that on a map, it would be a point, wouldn't it? It would be a point on the map. Okay, so the intersection of two lines is a point. Okay, now the intersection of a line and a plane. So guys, that's like if I were to actually drill a hole in my table and I was to actually put my pencil right here through the hole, this would represent, it could represent a line and it goes through a flat surface. So right here, the intersection of a line and a plane is at point B. Now, I want to point something out, and you guys can write this down. The dotted lines, okay? Oh my gosh. Guys, my handwriting is atrocious. I apologize. All right, so let's look at this. Dotted lines. The dotted line right there means that it's underneath or behind the plane, okay? So that means that it's under or behind, okay? Just so you guys know, because you're going to also see that a lot throughout this year. You're going to see that in pictures. Okay, and then the last one that we're dealing with, and let's see here, let's do a fun color, let's do green. Okay, so the intersection of two planes. So I want you guys to think about this for just a second. Think about in your bedroom or in the classroom, okay? You have two walls that are flat surfaces. Well, where those two walls intersect, right there, yeah, it creates a 90-degree angle, but that intersection is actually a line, right? There is a line that goes across the wall and the ceiling or the wall and the floor. So right here, the intersection of two planes is a line. Okay, now, I've given you guys a lot of information on this vocabulary part for 1.1. Okay, you know what? Let's go and we're going to work out some of the problems together. We're going to work out a couple of the problems. Let's go down, ladies and gentlemen, which one? Oh, you know what? Let's go down and look at number 5 together on our assignment. Okay, y'all, we're going to work out some problems on your assignment. So I'm basically doing some of the problems for you. So now is a really good time. Make sure you pay close attention how we're going to take what we just talked about, what we just learned, and we're going to put it into action. Okay, we're going to start on number 5. So we're going to go to number 5 on your assignment 1.1. And it says on number 5, it says name the plane that contains points A, B, and C. Again, we're doing number 5 together. Okay, so the plane that contains points A, B, and C. So if you're a highlighting type of person, you might want to highlight that plane. All right, so A is right here, and B and C are all on this plane right up here. So how can I name that plane? Well, let's see. What do you guys think? I want you guys to take a guess at this. Okay, let's see how you guys did. Okay, one other way that I can name this plane is I can name this plane by 3 points that are not on the same line. So if I look at that, well, let's see. I've got points B and C and D that are not on the same line. Oh, so I could say plane BCD. That's one way that I could name it. Now remember, the order of those 3 points doesn't matter. All right, maybe some of you said, well, wait a minute. Could I say plane, because here's plane A, D, C. Is that a possibility? Yes, because those are 3 points that are not on the same line. So we can use those 3 points. Okay, so that's a possibility. Now, another way, if you guys remembered, another way that we can name a plane is by the uppercase script letter right here. So I can also name this plane M because I can use that uppercase script letter. Okay, hopefully you guys are catching on to this. Okay, I'm going to let you guys do the rest of this particular page on your own. And guys, next we're going to go down to page 5. Go down and meet me at page 5. All right, so on page 5, guys, I'm going to do 2 of these with you. Okay, we're going to do number 10 together to start with. So number 10 together right here to start with. So this one says, name a point that is not coplanar with C, D, and F. Okay, remember, coplanar means together all on the same plane. But we want a point that's non-coplanar, so that's not coplanar, it's not on the same plane. So the very first thing I got to do is I need to find out, well, where is the plane with C, D, and F? So that plane is right here. So I want another point that is not on that plane. Okay, so how do I name a point and where would that point be? Let's see. Now, not on the plane. So if it's not on the plane, it's either going to be up here or it's going to be down here. So I want you guys to give it a shot and I want you to see, how would you name either of those points? What would you write down? Okay, so let's see if you were on the right track. Okay, you would write down the word point and then you would put A, or you could have said, okay, point B. You could have chosen either of those, but remember, you have to write the word point. If you just put A, guys, that's not how you specifically write a point, the name of a point. So make sure you put the word point in front of there. All right, now, we're going to also look at number 19. Okay, we're going to look at number 19. Now, number 19, okay, I'm going to scroll down to it, but then we're going to go back up to our picture here in just a second. Number 19 says, name one pair, okay, and let me show, just so you guys can see, we're doing number 19. Name one pair of rays that share the same endpoint, but that are not opposite. Okay, so let's go back up and let's look at, dun dun, let's look at our picture right here. We're looking for a pair of rays that share the same endpoint, but that are not opposite. Remember, that means opposite means that they form a 180-degree line. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I see that right here at point E, we have some rays that come out from there. Okay, so let's see. They're not opposite rays. So I want you guys to take a guess at this. Just do your best shot. Okay, what are two pairs of rays, or excuse me, name one pair of rays. Sorry about that. What is one pair of rays that share the same point E, but are not opposite rays? What do you guys think? Okay, let's see what you answered, okay? Because there are multiple correct answers to this. Okay, so I'm going to write down the answer to number 19 right here so that you guys can see it. Okay, let me move myself out of the way so you guys can actually see what I'm writing. Okay, so I could say, let's see, if I start with ray EB, and remember the symbol, if you leave off the symbol, it's wrong. Okay, ray EB. Okay, now that one goes straight up. Okay, so I could say ray AB and ray EF. Okay, those start from the same endpoint, but they go different directions, but they're not opposite. That is a possibility. That's one possibility. Okay, well, what if I said ray EB? What if I still used that ray, but I wanted to choose another one? So if I said, okay, EB right here, well, guys, I can't use EA because that would make a straight line. So nope, I can't use that one, but I can use ray ED. So I could also say ray ED. That's another possibility. Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, there are actually a couple of different possibilities. Okay, so if you want to check to see if you're on the right track with your answers, make sure you ask your teacher during class to see if you're on track. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're through with the first video for assignment 1.1. Yay! Give yourself a round of applause, guys. You just made it through your first video lesson. Okay, now, next up, in class, you are going to continue to work out the rest of the problems, okay, and then you're going to show them to your teacher. And if you have questions, ask, okay? Ask your teacher. You should be able to complete assignment 1.1 in class period, in our next class period. And then you guys can get checked off by the teacher and work through the code breaker, which we'll explain what that is soon. All right, guys, hope you had a great time, and we'll see you next time. Adios.